I the a-hole for not giving my half-siblings any of the inheritance I got from my dad, but paying for my stepsister's surgery and house deposit? I, 32 female, have 2 half-siblings, 15 male and 16 male, and a stepsister, 28 female. My parents divorced when I was 8 as mom was caught cheating with my now stepdad. Dad got majority custody of me because mom didn't actually want any custody and want to go travel with now stepdad. Stepdad walked out on my stepsister, at the time 4-year-old, and her mom who was in the middle of treatment for cervical cancer. About 2 years after the whole time went down, my stepsister's mom died and my stepdad was given custody of her. He had none previously. As they then had to settle down, my mom fought for custody of me as she didn't want to have to pay child support if she was stuck, unable to travel because of stepdad getting stepsister. They got 50-50 custody of me. I wound up very close to my stepsister and ended up living together for a brief while after she was kicked out at 16. I left home at 17. I've never been close to my younger half-brothers, largely because mom and stepdad spoiled them constantly and made no secret of the fact that I and stepsister were intruding on their perfect family. Long story short, we've been low contact with them pretty much for the last 12 years. Stepsister reached out to them last year when she was diagnosed with cervical cancer and asked for their help to fund a hysterectomy. They told her that she deserved her diagnosis for forcing them to stop traveling, and stepdad told her that she was going to die alone and miserable like her mom. She's been no contact with them ever since. My dad died about 6 months ago and left everything to me plus a car to my stepsister. I've always been very close to him, and my stepsister also grew close to him after mom/stepdad kicked her out. It's not a ton, but I was able to give her money for a house deposit and pay off her surgery, as well as pay off my student loans, and enough to make a nice emergency fund. My stepdad recently found out about this. We don't know how. Neither of us told him. And we've received several threatening emails and letters saying we should have shared with our half-brothers, and threatening to sue us since dad left something to stepsister despite them not being related. Then clearly, he would have wanted our half-brothers to have something as well. I basically told them to get stuffed and stop harassing us, but I've just found out that my half-brothers have no money saved for their study, and I'm wondering if I'm the a-hole for helping out stepsister but not them. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Nope, nope, and nope. Firstly, sorry for your loss. Secondly, the money was willed to you legally by your biological father. It is yours to do with as you see fit. Helping your stepsister is wonderful as you are close to her. Paying off loans is very sensible, and an emergency fund is vital. I would advise you also start paying into some retirement funds. Good luck. Totally agree. The only one who looked like they deserved the money was the stepsister. The others don't deserve a single cent from that inheritance, and they can't do anything about it, which is great for Opie. Not the a-hole. If your dad wanted to leave your stepbrother something, he would have. Your stepdad is like a shark circling the waters for leftovers. Lawyer up, Opie, even if just in the sense you know legally can't do anything. Not the a-hole. If your half-brothers don't have any money for their studies, it's not your fault. It was very nice of you to pay for your stepsister, and your stepdad is being the a-hole for threatening you for money is not rightfully owed. This, feeling guilty that they have no money when it's not Opie's fault, but they have siblings' parents who messed up. Not the a-hole. The estate was your father's to leave to whom he wanted to. No person is entitled to anyone's estate, and I'm saying this as someone who was written out of his father's will. Also, this money is yours to do with as you want. You used it to help someone you love during a time of crisis and to help her out. You are not required to use this money to help anyone out, but are welcome to help anyone your heart tells you to. Do not feel obligated to assist your half-siblings just because your mother and stepfather did not plan properly for them. That said, you might want to talk to a lawyer to head off any legal stunts they might try. One thing to keep in mind, family is about who loves you and stands by you, not about who is related to you. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for not sharing my inheritance with my siblings since they were legally adopted? I'm 23 male. I'm in a tricky situation where I'm leaning a bit more in one way than the other and either need that extra pushover or push back to the other side. Unfortunately, my 2 siblings, 21 female and 19 male, and I are the products of an ongoing affair between my mom, 44 female, and her current husband, 43 male. Technically, he is my bio dad. We did a DNA test. But legally, I am a father's kid, and for the purposes of the story, I will be referring to my legal father as dad, while my bio dad will be referred to as stepdad. My dad died when I was 12, and I was devastated. I love that man so much that I cite his death as the catalyst for my current lack of faith. When I was 13, my mom married my stepdad, and when I was 14, they both approached me and my siblings about legal adoption. My siblings were eager to a new father, while I was crushed at the idea of everyone seemingly so eager to replace the man I knew and loved. While my mom initially respected my wishes to not be legally his, they both kept trying to convince me, but I refused. For years, I respected this man as my mom's husband, the man who provided for me, but he would never be my dad. I could tell that my stepdad was really hurt by this, especially around Father's Day. I would go out and visit my dad's grave with my half-brother, dad's first child with another woman, instead of spending the day with him. I guess he got fed up one day, and that's why he decided to tell my siblings and I all the truth. Obviously, this was a huge blow, and I refused to believe it, hence the DNA test, and I was crushed. It felt like I was losing my dad all over again. My mom decided that it was for the best, and that I no longer had an excuse to not accept the adoption. She was wrong, and I moved out a week after my high school graduation and went low contact with them. The only ones who seemed to be on my side was my half-brother and legal paternal grandparents. They accepted that my siblings were lost to them, but in their eyes, I was still my dad's kid. My younger siblings gave me crap about it for years, and saying that it was weird to spend time with people I had no blood relation to, and that I was being cruel to our biological paternal side. Our relationship became low contact as well, and I didn't really hear from them again until after my great-aunt died. She didn't have any children and married very well, and since her brother, my grandfather, was the only one to have children, so left most of her money to his daughter, my legal aunt, and to me and my half-brother. Since legally, my younger siblings were adopted by our bio dad and they shared no blood relation to her, she didn't consider them family and left them with nothing. My younger siblings heard about money and think I should split with them equally. I feel like since they choose to be adopted and were so willing to rug sweep what our mom did, that they're not entitled to a dime. Am I wrong? Not they-ho. Your siblings. It's weird to spend time with people you have no blood relation to. Also, your siblings. Give us money you got from people we have no blood relation to. At the risk of breaking AITA's civility rule, your siblings can go vigorously fornicate with themselves. Not they-ho. That is an absolutely preposterous stance for your siblings to have. They think they should be entitled to inheritance from a side of your family that they not only denounced, but also ridiculed you for keeping in contact with? Yeah, no. This one isn't a hard ruling. Just probably difficult if you're the one living it. Not the a-hole, but your mom is definitely the a-hole for putting you in this crazy situation. Your aunt chose to give you an inheritance. You have nothing to apologize for or feel bad about. I'm so sorry for your loss. Not the a-hole. No one is entitled to receive any inheritance from anyone, especially if the deceased person made it clear what they wanted to give and to whom. Your siblings are acting like spoiled a-holes. Curious fact, the first part is wrong in a lot of countries. But yes, the siblings have no claim after what they said to Opie about his dad. Next story is titled, Would I be the a-hole if I told my dad it's his fault his wife wants a divorce? So my 20 female dad, 40 male, and his wife, Jane, 31 female, have been married for 6 years now. Their relationship started because my dad was cheating on his wife at the time. My dad is a notorious cheater and manipulator, and I have witnessed this firsthand, so I know there are bases to the stories I have heard. Anyway, at first I didn't like Jane because of everything that happened with how their relationship began, and then they got married without telling anyone, which only made it worse. Eventually, I forgave my dad and Jane, and I actually got really close to Jane because she is awesome. I thought my dad had changed because they seemed so perfect for each other. Apparently, that's not the case. Fast forward to now, Jane asked my dad for a divorce. Apparently, he has been up to his cheating habits for a long time and has also been incredibly manipulative to Jane, so I don't blame her. I At first, my dad told me he wanted Jane and I to keep our relationship. It hadn't even crossed my mind that I would stop talking to her. But now my dad has really started showing his ass to everyone. For example, at my sister's birthday party, my dad swore the divorce wouldn't be talked about, but then that's all he talked about. The entire time. He made everything so awkward, making sly comments about him, referring to some new guy Jane was talking to, and trying to still act like a couple even though everyone was clearly uncomfortable, following Jane everywhere, going through her phone, etc. He has also snapped at me and made comments about my weight, and has also tried several times to corner me into conversations about it like I am his therapist. We have never really been close, so I'm never really sure what to say, and I don't mind talking to him about it. But he goes into way too much detail and tells me things that he should really only be talking to a licensed professional about. Jane has also told me that he's being emotionally and financially abusive. They still share the same house, unfortunately, until May 1. And has been using their daughter together as leverage. This is all really frustrating because the truth is, it is his fault that all this is happening because he has cheated multiple times. But I also feel bad because I know he is hurting. Would I be the a-hole if I told him that it is his fault this is happening? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole, but it's unlikely to make any impact. He sounds like a narcissist, and he'll just use any negative thing you say as a reason to turn on you. Your best course of action is to remain a friend to Jane and aid her in any way that you can. His behavior towards her and you are reasons enough to cut him off. Largely agree, but I'm not so sure the best course of action is to remain friends with Jane. Seems like both of them are involving OP way too much in marital problems. OP should not be Jane's sounding board about how crappy her dad is, nor should she be Dad's pseudotherapist. The abuse allegations muddy things, but both these parents seem to be looking for way too much emotional support from the adult, but still young child. Not a-hole. Your plan may backfire with him getting angry at you. Just be prepared for an extreme reaction. Chances are good he knows why she's divorcing him. He may or may not own up to it, but that's not your problem. Personally, I probably wouldn't waste my breath. It probably wouldn't change his behavior. Your dad is a giant ass. A lot of cheaters never stop. Jane was naive to believe she'd be the exception. If they'll cheat with you, they'll cheat on you. But you seem to like Jane, and she sounds way better than your dad is in this situation. If everything you said in the post is true, his actions are indeed the cause of what's happening to him. Not the a-hole. Edit. Thank you guys for all your input. I think it is best to wait until Jane and the baby are out at the very least before I confront his behavior. Both Jane and I are very concerned about what he might do if anything pushes the wrong button because he is very unstable right now. I'm not really concerned about my relationship with him. Like I said, we've never been close and I've lived with my mom my whole life. Our relationship has always been unstable. So if he feels the need to stop talking to me when I do tell him, then that's how it is. Thank you guys. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for not taking the kids with me on the honeymoon when their mom insisted? To start, my ex-wife and I divorced 6 years ago. She moved on and got married so fast I couldn't believe it, since we were high school sweethearts. We were sharing custody of our 2 kids, 7 and 9 at the time. She got busy with her new husband, new house, and I did most of my children's care for 2.5 years. Then she got pregnant and counted on me to take care of the kids. I had no problem. In fact, this was a blessing. I got to spend more time with the kids. I got married to my now wife a month ago. My ex asked if I was going to take the kids with me on the honeymoon. I said no and asked if she could have them for a week. She refused. She said she had work, although she always caused a scene to have them for a week. Her husband said he isn't willing to watch them. Those are his stepchildren, but I see why the kids and him aren't close. My ex threw a fit when I said my in-laws were willing to have the kids. She called me crazy to abandon the kids with strangers they've only known for 3 years. She started demanding I take them with me. I argued with her, calling her unreasonable, but she called me a horrible, horrible father. She began bad-mouthing me to my kids, asking them if they're comfortable living with their dad's new wife. Even told them we were leaving for good. I was freaking livid. My wife and I assured them none of this is true. and explained how every newly married couple get this special time together. I didn't just leave. I gave them tasks to decide what they want their new rooms to look like after renovations. I went over to my ex's place and the argument started. She kept saying I shouldn't put my new wife before my children and abandon them like that. She took notes to talk to her lawyer about my behavior. She called my wife a witch, and that she didn't trust her with the kids. I blew up at her, telling her to have some respect. Her husband started mocking me, wishing me a terrible time, and for the plane to never land. Then told me to be careful not to come home with a baby already, since I had no problem ditching my kids so easily. I told them to bug off, then I left. My mother-in-law came and picked the kids. She was excited to do things with them. This is a chance for them to bond. When we came back, my ex and her sister never stopped berating me for not taking the kids, saying the kids are in for a miserable life with my new wife. I told them to stop it, but they keep guilting me, saying I acted like a neglectful father, putting my kids last on the list. Now for the top comments. Not day-haul and you need a lawyer. Document how she lied to your kids about abandoning them. Document everything. Communicate only through text, so there is a record. She will roll right over you in court unless you can back this up. Your ex is rich to say you're abandoning your kids for a vacation when she abandoned them when she got a new husband, again when she had a new child, and refused to watch them when you were going on your honeymoon. Hopefully you have some evidence if she does try to get some more custody, but it doesn't sound like her husband would want that. Not day-haul. The amount of projection from the ex and the stepdad are like a freaking auto cinema. Not day-haul. Your ex is bat-ass crazy. And you also need to take notes on how you ask her to watch the kids, but she refused, and how the husband said they aren't his kids. Not day-haul. I think you should record these interactions. Your ex is psycho. She sounds bizarrely jealous if you're marrying. As soon as she starts with her threats and her ranting and her insults, take out your phone and start filming. If she asks what you're doing, tell her you're just filming. Is there something she's saying she doesn't want people to know? If secret recording is legal in your state, do that. Some states require both parties to consent, other states do not. Be prepared to take her to court if this escalates, because she's trying to poison your kids against you and your new wife. And they're still young, and she is their mother. It's dangerous and very wrong.